Good morning, students. In today's class of Managing Change in Organization, we'll study about a new topic, that what are the types of groups that are available in an organization. When we say groups can be defined as a consisting of a collection of people or aggregate of people, two or more people, who share a common goal and who have a stable interacting relationship where the members of this or this aggregation of people have interrelated roles and they have a common purpose. Not only this, they also perceive themselves as a part of the group. Then only we can say that those aggregate of people or collection of people form a group. A group has several characteristics as you have read in the previous classes. Like they must be having a common purpose, there must be particular norms under which they will be operating, there will be a more or less rigid, completely rigid structure, hierarchy will be there, there will be particular roles that have been assigned to the different individuals of the group, they must be having interaction between them, they must have interdependent roles, there must be cohesiveness in this group, and these groups should identify themselves or perceive themselves as the part of a group. Then only we can say that those aggregate or collection of people form a group. Okay, so these are the characteristics. Apart from this, there are what are the reasons why these people form a group? Maybe due to the affiliation needs, or it may be due to the economic needs, or they want to have status in the organization, they want to have identity in the organization, they also maybe want to secure themselves. So there are various reasons, or economic conditions in order to have information. So there are various conditions or reasons which compel people to be a part of a group or to form groups. But in today's class, we'll understand after this that what are the types of groups that are available in an organization. The types of groups that are available in an organization can be of two types. Okay, the first type is formal and the second type of group is informal. Again, the formal group is divided into command groups, task groups, functional groups, and committees. And the informal groups are again divided into interest groups, friendship groups, and reference groups. So we'll understand each and every heading. Okay, we'll start with formal groups. Okay, the first concept we are going to read is what are the type of group. The main heading is formal groups. When we say formal groups are deliberately created by the organization. They have the sanction from the organization. They are created as per the rules and guidelines and need of the organization. Then why these are formed? These are formed in order to help the organizational members achieve some of the important organizational goal. Some important organizational goal is present which they want to achieve, the organization wants to achieve. So in order to achieve this common purpose or common goals, organizational goals, objectives, they form a formal group. Okay, and in formal groups, the behavior that a member should exhibit are stipulated or controlled by the organization. So there must be a proper stipulation or criteria under which the members of the formal group would interact, would behave, would communicate with one another. All these things are controlled by the group. So we can say in a normal understanding, when we say formal groups are deliberately created by the organization in order to help the members of the group, organization members, to achieve the organizational goals. And these formal groups are nothing but depend upon the organization structure with the designated work assignments and established tasks. So each and every person has a particular role in this formal groups. In formal groups, as we have understood, the behavior of the members what behavior the members should exhibit are stipulated by the organization. So let us give you an example. It may be a formal organization for a bookkeeping department, or an executive committee can be formed, or a product development team can be formed. So all these things are examples of a formal group. Now, the formal groups are again divided into four types. These are command groups, task groups, functional group, and committees. We'll understand each one by one, each of the terms. Now, the first thing that we have to understand is command group. What is a command group? A command group is determined by the organizational chart depicting the approved formal connection between individuals in an organization. So when we say it's a command group is determined by the organizational chart. Organizational chart, there is hierarchy, who will be reporting to him, there will be hierarchy structure, and there will be organization chart. There will be different posts assigned to different persons in the group, in the organization. And depending upon this organization chart, there must be formal connection between the individuals in the group, then only it will be known as a common group. So it is composed, if you say, try to understand, it is composed of a supervisor or a manager and subordinates who report directly to the supervisor. So they form the part of the organization chart. The manager is in the upper authority, and this subordinates report to him. So there is a hierarchy. So this organizational chart depicting the approved formal connection between the individuals is known as a command group. Thus, it is defined in terms of the organization's hierarchy. Okay, so this is very important to understand. In business organization, most employees work in such command groups. Mostly in business organizations, we find this type of formal groups. They form these command groups. Why? Because they are easy to control, because they are based on the organizational chart, organizational hierarchy. So the superior controls the way of performing, the behavior, the communication, the conduct of the subordinates, and they report directly to the supervisor or the manager. So this makes it easier to control the assignments, the tasks that are being assigned to these people, to the subordinates. So mostly in business organization, this type of command groups are utilized. And again, it is defined, as I've said, it is defined in terms of the organization's hierarchy. It is the organization's hierarchy that determines the command group. Okay, membership in this kind of command group arises from each employee's position in the organization chart. Okay, let me give an example. An example of a command group would be if you say the director and the faculty members of a business school. There is a director and the faculty members of the business school. The faculty members will be under the direct command of the director, and the director will be responsible for all the work the faculty members are doing in the business school. Similarly, we can say the example of a school principal and the teachers. If we take an example, that comes here. Similarly, when you come to the from the organization point of view, it will be a production team supervisor and the subordinates working under it. So what production process will be taken, what kind of inventory required, what will be the production schedule, all these things will be decided, and the subordinates will be helping in this functioning of this production department. So this is known as a command group. Now the second kind of group which we need to understand, formal group, is B, task group. When we say task group, it means task group comprises of some individuals with special expertise or interest and created by the organizational authority to work together in order to complete a specific task. So a task group is a group which comprises of individuals who have certain special expertise in certain field, certain special interest. So due to this special expertise or special interest, they are brought together in order to complete the specific task which the organization wants to be completed. So they are brought together by the organization because they have certain special expertise or certain special interest. So they are brought together in order to complete, in order to accomplish a specific task. Then task groups are often not restricted to organizational hierarchy and can be cross-functional in nature. So it may not be from the same department. The members of this task group may be also from other departments. So they are cross-functional in nature and they directly do not always be restricted to the organizational hierarchy. Okay, so this is very important to understand. In this way, the task group is different from the command group because in command group, they are completely depend upon the organizational hierarchy or organizational chart. Then task groups may be temporary or with the established lifespan or maybe open-ended. When we say temporary with an established lifespan, what does it mean? It means that it may be for a particular specific period of time for which the task group will be operating and then it will disband, or it may be open-ended, it may continue to operate. So task groups, when we say task group, these are individuals with special expertise who are brought together in order to accomplish a particular task. Task groups are commonly also known as task forces. The organization appoints the members and assigns them goals and tasks to be accomplished. And these task groups, if you try to say what are the, because this, why they are brought together, because they have special interest or expertise, or they are individuals with particular skills or knowledge which is required to accomplish the task. So that is the or project. For that the reason only they are brought together. If I'll give you an example, what is a task group? You can say a problem, or if you say is a problem solving, if a problem involving at various departments are there, a particular problem concerning various departments are there, then the particular people having expertise from various departments will be collected together, brought together in order to solve the problem that affects all the departments. This task group may be in force unless and until the problem is eradicated or removed or eliminated. If it is eliminated or removed, then the task group will disband. Okay, so this is an example of task group. Now coming to third kind of formal group, that is functional group. Functional group, a functional group is created by the organization, okay, in order to accomplish specific goals within a unspecified time period. So they are brought together because in order to complete a specific goal, but they don't have any specific time period, time frame. It may be for a short period of time or maybe an open-ended. So this is known as a functional group. Again, functional group is created by the organization to deal with some specific type of problem that may arise more or less on a regular basis. So if it is on a regular basis and they need this functional group to be in place, then they will have this functional organization. And it is also to be remembered that there may be temporary committee kind of thing that may be organized for a particular functional problem across various areas, or a functional group is created for a longer period of time if the problem is a recurring problem and keeps on happening on a regular basis. So in order to remove this problem, in order to face this problem that happens regularly, a functional group may be created to see that the problem, whenever it arises, it is removed. So it may be functional group, let us say, for measuring the quality, understanding the quality of the raw materials that is being brought. So the people from production, marketing, finance, all they will be part of a function group. They must have a specific goal. The goal is to see that the quality of the raw material that is bought for the production is of the utmost best quality. So these quality issues may be coming out or a recurring basis, on a regular basis they may come out. So in order to remove this problem, they may have a functional group. Now coming to the fourth kind of formal group, that is committees. Committees are usually created outside the usual command group structure to solve recurring problems. So these are also formed in order to solve the recurring problems. But what is the difference here? The difference here is that they are created outside the command group structures. Okay. The committees are also set up for special projects. They must be set up for special projects. A particular committee for looking into quality, a particular committee looking into purchase, a particular committee that has been created to see if there is any defraud in the company or if there is any cheating in the company. So committees may be created for any special projects also. The life of committee may be relatively short or long. Depending upon the specific project, a committee's life may be short or long. The example, let me give an example. Committee including a standing committee in an university to discuss various academic and administrative issues. It will be a long term, okay, because here the standing committee is of a long-term basis because they have to see what are the various academic or administrative issues that are recurring on a regular basis. So that may be a committee may be formed, or a short-term, if you say short-term committee, it may be a committee which is created for the election of a president. Once the president is elected, then the committee is dissolved because the committee is no longer need to be in power, no need to function because the goal is accomplished. So a committee may be also for the short term, also for the long term. The only thing we have to remember here is the committees are set up for special projects and they're created outside the command group structure to solve recurring problems. So in this way, the committee, this is the reason why committees are formed. So these are the 4 types of formal groups. And now we will move to informal groups. So what happens when we say informal groups? What comes under that? Informal groups are completely in contrast to the formal groups. Okay. These groups are neither formally created nor controlled by the organization. They are neither created by the formally by the organization nor they are controlled by the organization. They rather develop spontaneously among the organization members. So here it is different from the formal groups because they are neither created or controlled by the organization and they are not created with a particular predetermined objective. They are created spontaneously as per the need. Okay, we'll understand why they are created later. But the thing is that they are spontaneously created. They are not created with a predetermined objective in mind. These groups are natural formations. Obviously, they are natural formations in the work environment because they are spontaneous and they appear in response to the need for social contact for employees, shared interest, or friendship. So these are the needs why a informal group is created. It may be due to the need for any social contact between the employees. It may be due to certain shared interest that the members of the group have or certain friendship that is present between the members of the informal group. So these develop rather spontaneously among the organizational members without any discretion from the organizational authorities. So that is something we have to remove. And these groups are natural formations in the work environment. These groups exist outside the formal authorities of the authority of the organization. And if you let me give an example for this, there are certain employees in the of the organization, depending to various departments, they may be having lunch together. So this is they may form an informal group because at the same time they will be having lunch together. So while having lunch together, they must be discussing stuff, what is happening in the organization, what is happening in each other's department. So this is an example of an informal organization. You have to remember that formal organizations are very rigid, but informal organizations are flexible, and the informal organizations do not have any rigid rules and regulations governing them. In formal organization, there were particular rules and regulations which were governed, according to which the behavior of the members of the formal groups were governed. But here in informal organization, even though there are rules, these rules are not written, unwritten rules, and there is a code of conduct which every member accept implicitly. So they do not accept, there is no understanding, but they have understanding in explicit way. They implicitly understand it. They accept the conduct of the informal group, but there is no written rules and regulations in informal groups. Again, the informal groups are divided into three types. It may be interest group, it may be friendship group, and it may be reference group. So we'll understand all those things also one by one. First, we'll understand what are interest groups. Interest groups are formed when a group of employees band together to seek some common objectives. If they want to seek, if they want to accomplish some common objectives, if they have some common interest, then the members of the organization, even they belong to different departments, they may form a small informal interest group. So this is known as an interest group. The members of interest group may not be part of the same organizational department. As I have said, they may be from different different department from the organization, but they are bound together by some common interest. So why they are bound together? They are bound together because of the common interest. The common interest may be like, let me give an example. Suppose the interest group is for protesting against some new rules of the organization, or certain policy of the organization which they are not accepting. So the interest group may form together in order to protest it, or to join a union, or achieve some higher amount of bonus or something is required. So they'll form an interest group. They'll lobby that they want more amount of bonus this year. So depending upon the interest, these groups are formed. The goals and objectives of these interest groups are specific to each group and may not be related to the organizational goals and objectives. So they have their own specific objectives for their own interest group, and this may not be related to the organizational objectives. And this, when we say objective, each group, interest group has its own objective, and it means that there must be several interest groups. Okay, so one interest group's objective may not be same with the other interest group's objective, and the objective of the interest group will also not be related to the organizational objectives, because these are not formed as per the sanction of the organization. They are formed informally, spontaneously. Why? Because they have a common interest in their mind, certain thing they believe in, some common interest. So they band together to form a small informal interest group. Now coming to the second kind of informal groups are friendship groups. Friendship groups are association of people who like each other and who like to be together. So these friendship groups are formed by those people, or made association by those people who like each other or who like to be together. They have a liking towards each other. They are friendly towards each other. That is the reason they form the informal groups, not because of any other reason. Here they don't have the common interest. They may or may not have the common interest. But the thing is, it is the friendship that binds the informal group. So these are known as friendship groups. Members enjoy each other's company. That is the reason they form this kind of friendship groups. And members have similar social activities. They may have similar political beliefs, certain religious values, or other common bonds. If they want social activities, means they must be interested in playing. Uh, every Sunday, they may be interested in playing football, or maybe having any political beliefs. They may be supporting certain political party, all of them. So they may be having a friendship. They must be having certain religious beliefs. They must be followers of certain religion, or they may have any other reasons for which they form the group. But the reason is that they are interested to be with one another. They like to be in company with one another. That is the reason they form the group, because the members form this group because these groups they meet after the sometimes meet after the organizational working hours. So they must be formed with each other in order to meet. Friendship groups are association of people who like each other or like to be together. Members enjoy each other's company and often meet after work to participate in these similar social activities, or if they have these political beliefs in order to have discussions. So this is the reason they form this friendship. Let me give an example. A group of employees who form a group maybe to play a particular sport or to have this potluck lunch once in a month or to have a softball team. So all these things are the examples of friendship groups where they develop among the members. This friendship develops among these members and they share some common interest and they like participating in that. That is the reason they form this small informal friendship groups. Now coming to another last kind of informal groups, that is reference groups. When we say reference groups are the groups with which individuals identify and compare themselves. So this is very important to understand. So these is not a real group. Okay, here the members they form these groups in their mind because they want to identify or compare or evaluate themselves in respect to the another person. The reference group exists inside or outside the organization. It may the reference group may be inside the organization. It will be certain senior with to whom you look up to, you admire, you want to have that much promotion, that much perks, packages. You want to be a good leader like that person, good leadership skills you want, or he must be a good orator, so you want to have a good communication skills like that person. So you think that is your reference group, or it may be outside the organization. He must be some other person in any other organization whom you look up to, who you think that I want to become like him. So they form the part of the reference group. So the reference group might inside the organization or outside the organization. A reference group may or may not be actual one that meets together. It may be an imaginary group. As I've said, it may be in the mind. Sometimes they meet together, like if they're in the same organization, if you're looking up to a manager who is working in the same organization, so you must be meeting the person. But if the person is from a different organization, you may not be meeting that person. So it may be also an imaginary group. The main reason is that these groups are created because individuals identify and compare themselves. For that reasons, they created. These things are created. The reference group might exist inside the organization, outside the organization. I have said a reference group is a type of group that people use to evaluate themselves. The reference group, they use it as a reference point and they try to evaluate themselves by having that reference in the mind, that how that person has achieved the particular goal or how that person is famous, or having certain skills that they do not have and how they want to achieve those things. So this is under reference group. This known as reference group. This if you let me give an example, the reference group may be, as I've said, inside the or outside the organization. Let me give an example. Reference group for a new university lecturer. If a new university lecturer is appointed, the reference group for that university lecturer may be other scholars in the same discipline in other universities or colleges. Okay, or it may be the seniors lecturers in his college or his university also. So it may be inside the organization or it may be outside the organization. But the main reason, the main purpose the reference groups are created because these are created to get social validation and social comparison. For social validation and social comparison, you want to be like that because you want social validation, and also you use them for social comparison to see that how you stand in respect to that person and how you want to evolve and be like that person. Okay, so these are not the reference group. So now we have understood what are the types of the formal groups, various types, and what are the various types of informal groups. Now we'll try to understand what are the differences between formal groups and informal groups. So we'll understand that. So when we say formal groups, if we say, depending on the meaning, formal groups are created by the organization to accomplish a specific task are known as formal groups, whereas informal groups are created by employees themselves for their own sake and are non spontaneously they are formed. for their own sake. They are known as informal groups. So as per the definition, there is difference between the formal groups and the informal groups. Now coming to the purpose of formal group is to serve the organization as a means to formal ends. So in order to accomplish certain tasks, so they are formed because as a means to a formal ends. But when we see to informal group, the purpose of informal group is to provide social satisfaction and stability. They are not formed for as a means to a formal end, but they are created for social satisfaction, social validation and stability of the members. The formation of the formal groups are deliberately made by the organization with a predetermined objective in their mind, because they want to accomplish certain organizational objectives. That is the reason they form these formal groups. Whereas these informal groups are formed voluntarily, spontaneously, in the nature of the work environment. Okay, so these are formed voluntarily. So this is the some of the differences between formal groups and other informal groups. There are certain other distinction points also will lead in the next slide. The control on behavior. Here, the informal group, the behavior is controlled by the rigid rules and regulations which are set by the organization. Here, the behavior, the way in which the member of a formal group will react, will depend upon the organization. Whereas this control on behavior in these informal groups is through values and beliefs and norms of the groups. These are not explicitly written laws how they will form or behave. These are implicit. These are the norms that are unwritten. These rules are not written. These are unwritten rules. And depending upon the values, beliefs, and norms of this group, informal group, they will operate. But when it comes to formal group, there are written, rigid rules and regulations which are formulated by the organization, and the organizational members of the formal groups have to follow that. The size of the formal groups are generally large, but the size of the informal groups are comparatively smaller. When it comes to the lifespan, the formal group, it depends upon the type of group. As I said, there are various formal groups that may be formed for a larger period of time. If it's a committee, it may be a standing committee for a larger period of time, or it may be a small period of time. So the tenure of the lifespan of the formal group may be depending upon the type of group it is, the objective they want to accomplish. Accordingly, the life of the group will be changing. But the informal groups, they don't have any well-defined time span within which it will work. It depends upon the members of the informal groups. If the members of the organization feel that they will continue with the informal group, they may move ahead and continue. And if they feel that there is any arguments and they don't feel that they want to meet together, then they may disband the group. So the life of the informal group depends upon the members of the groups. When we say the structure, the formal groups have a very definite, clear structure because they are based out of the organizational structure, organizational hierarchy. So their structure is very, very well defined. But whereas in informal group, the structure is not at all well defined because they are formed spontaneously, and the members from different departments can together form an informal group. So there is no formal structure. Suppose like like manager from HR group may be friends with a subordinate from the marketing group because they are having lunch together. So they may form a friendship group. Okay, they must be having common interest in particular sports or common interest in movies. So they must be interacting. So there is no formal structure, well-defined structure in informal. But this is very well defined in formal groups because they are formed on the basis of the organizational chart. The importance is given in formal groups to position, and here in informal groups the importance is given to the person. The relationship of the members in the formal groups are generally professional. They do not have any personal relationship. It's completely strictly professional. But whereas when it comes to informal group, the relationship between the members is personal or informal. The communication, the way in which they'll communicate, the formal group members moves in a defined direction, upward communication, downward communication. Okay, so there are completely well defined direction or channels of communication. But when in informal groups, it stretches in all directions. anybody can interact with anybody in the informal group. So these are the basis on which we can differentiate a formal group and informal group. So in today's class, we have understood what are formal groups, what are informal groups, what are the various types of formal groups available in organization, what are the various types of informal groups are available in the organization, and how these formal groups and informal groups are differentiating from or one another. Okay, so if you have any doubts, you can get back to me, and I'll be sending you notes digitally. Go through that, no need to panic, prepare at home, and finally, thank you for your attention.